Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Veterans Energy Seminar Zoom conference. I want to say happy 4th of July to everyone as we meet here on July 5th. And my name is Joshua May. I am the co-chair of the Boston Climate Reality chapter. Also work with Climate Reality and am part of the Veterans Service Corps. And today we have Mr. Dan Misch with us. He is a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy in '07 and the founder of Veterans Energy Seminar. And we're really happy that he could take some time out for us the day after the 4th, where he's already back to work. So welcome, Dan.
Yes, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we're just going to jump right in here. And, I was excited to learn about the Veterans Energy Seminar last year after you had your initial event in Chicago. And it's really exciting what you have going on in 2018. So maybe just to start off here and bring everybody up to date and let them know a little bit about you and what's going on with VES. You can kind of give a little bit of an update on where things are heading in 2018 for you.
Yeah, I will do that. So I am a federal employee with the Department of Energy. So up front, I'll just say that this conversation is happening in a personal capacity. So the opinions that I express today are my own, and the seminar itself is a volunteer effort, and so not sanctioned by the Department of Energy. I work at Argonne National Laboratory, which is 1 out of 10 of our Office of Science laboratories, doing basic research in chemistry, science, and energy. It's located outside Chicago, Illinois, which is where I'm calling from today. And I've been here about 5 years doing project and program management oversight. As you mentioned, I studied physics at the Naval Academy and then served 5 years on submarines out in Seattle. And like most submariners and many of my friends at the time, I was planning to go work in the nuclear energy industry when I got out in 2012. It was right around the same time that Obama was running for re-election that climate change really came to the forefront of the national debate, that I really started learning about climate change at all and was questioning whether or not I believed in nuclear power. I was fortunate to, find the job that I have now, which has really given me an opportunity to, do more independent research on these topics and kind of led to where I'm at now. In 2014, I joined a group that's called the Truman National Security Project. That is a DC-based nonprofit that is training the next generation of progressive national security leaders, and they have a very successful campaign that's called Operation Free, that really gives voices to military veterans as leaders in the climate discussion and connecting the dots of the national security implications. And through that program, I learned about the Atlantic Council, who had a nonprofit pitch competition a couple of years ago. And so with my work at the Department of Energy and my interest in, elevating the voices of post 9/11 veterans was born the seminar concept. So the program is based on training that the State Department does for foreign service officers, which introduces the fundamentals of energy fuels, markets, regional conflicts, and international policy. They do it over a 3-day program, and I've condensed that down to 1. So we ran a pilot of the event, I think, as you mentioned, in Chicago last year. And it was hosted at the University of Illinois in Chicago Business School. We had, local experts come from Argonne, UIC, BP, ComEd, the City of Chicago, the Small Business Administration, really trying to represent a wide distribution of industry, academic, and government. We go through the day starting with what I call the core curriculum, which is sort of a keynote lecture on the big global energy challenges, not just climate change, but U.S. government priorities, diplomatic and military missions, infrastructure and cybersecurity vulnerabilities, and then moving into lectures on domestic and international trends in conventional, so oil, looking at oil, gas, and coal, as well as nuclear, We look at the grid and what's happening in terms of resilience and modernization efforts and cybersecurity and microgrids. And then after lunch, looking at renewables and concepts in sustainability, efficiency, and then technology gaps.
Hmm.
So that's a lot to learn.
Yes.
I call it a crash course, and it usually takes between 3 and 4 hours. And then the afternoon is set aside for breakout sessions, which can be panels or discussions with, again, industry or nonprofits that are doing work in this area, basically showing how are those concepts that we talked about in the morning being put into place or applied in the real world, in the local area, and showing the folks that are in attendance how they can transition their military career into a meaningful way that supports our national security in defense of a stronger energy future. So that's kind of a rough, broad overview of, I guess, how I came to start this and the general program. So maybe just after that, if you have any specific questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, congratulations. I think this is a phenomenal program and something that's really been missing from sort of the plate of services out there for veterans. And it's exciting to see that, you're coming out of your pilot event in 2017, which was just one, and now I believe you have 5 lined up for 2018.
Yeah, so the pilot was successful, and at the time I thought that this would be a Chicago-based event, and I started getting interest from sponsors and partners in other cities. So right now, the first event in 18 is going to be San Diego, which is being hosted at the Liberty Station Conference Center, right on the water. It's on a Saturday, and we're following up in Chicago on August 30th.
Mm-hmm.
Boston, September 27th, and then DC, November 13th. We have support in Las Vegas, but we're still looking for a location, so we don't have a date yet. But that information obviously will come when the plan's in place.
Well, that's exciting growth in 1 year. So that we obviously are seeing the demand for this type of a program as exists out there.
Yeah, and I think so far it's been a lot of the agenda and recruitment of the best speakers that I can and finding those keynotes, shifting gears now into the promotion. So it's helped, like I'm getting here to help spread the word. That's really going to be key to make sure we have a good group of people that are coming to enjoy the event.
And Dan, who is your target audience? Only veterans? I understand that's obviously the key thrust of who you're trying to bring to the energy industry. But is this something that you would see other industries or other audiences attending?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Veterans are the main audience, but at the pilot we did get some active duty, and at the outlet or at the outset of the pilot, in the feedback survey, it was clear that that the veterans who came were hoping that they could have more networking opportunities and those chances to make connections with non-military people. And so that's one of the changes that we've made at the next events, is that there's both the military ticket and an energy professional ticket. Mm-hmm. And that is available to anybody that has an interest in the same topics. So if you want to come for the day of learning, this opportunity is available to you as well.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So let me ask you a question, Dan, that will sort of comes from my side of this, working on the climate change policy side. What do you sort of see as the message? I know you've just had the one event, but what do you sort of see as the message here with between the traditional fossil fuels and the newer renewable energy fuels? What's sort of the transaction or the crossover in this particular event that includes the topic of climate change?
Yeah. So as I described, the event is represented by a number of stakeholders from different industries, mm-hmm. And in what you might see as an all of the above approach. I personally don't shy away from discussing climate change as a national security threat, and just as a nature of my network, I think that the speakers that are coming to talk about these issues share some of those views.
Right.
And so ultimately, the topics that get discussed are in a way up to the independent presenters that are coming to talk about their own experiences. To answer your question more directly, climate change is a national security threat. And as a result of increasing temperatures, we're going to see seawater levels rise, which is in turn going to result in mass migrations and displacement of populations. We will see, as a result of surface temperature increases, more severe weather events, and resource scarcity. This all is going to result in changing missions for us, both militarily and diplomatic, as we see more conflict between countries. And so painting the picture in that way to military veterans who have, been, off serving the military mission and oftentimes a diplomatic stance as well, kind of ties the big picture together in a way that they might not have thought about before. And it's also worth noting that many of our current conflicts are started from energy conflicts, and many of the jobs that the veterans are doing are directly related to operational energy, that they can apply those skills to a civilian career.
Great. Another question that I've been getting from a couple of veterans that I've been talking to about this is they're excited to get there and to learn the information from you and your speakers. But I've also asked, will they have the opportunity to interact with employers in these different energy industries? Is there sort of a networking / job placement piece of this 8-hour day, or is it mainly for informational purposes?
So it's definitely not a job fair in a traditional sense. I've been to a few and I haven't been super impressed with them. I haven't personally gained from those. This is a day of learning and making connections. And I think that oftentimes that's where the good jobs really come from, is meeting the right person at the right place at the right time. And so what we are doing is affording those opportunities for you to meet people with like-minded, similar interests, and it's really up to you to follow through after the fact. And you might not get a job out of that person, but you might meet somebody else, or you might develop a relationship that turns into more of a mentorship. It's all about what you're going to get out of this. What you put into it is how I think about it. This is still kind of a early stage. I haven't gotten this volunteer support that I would need to support that yet. So maybe next year there'll be more formal poster sessions and those formal opportunities to meet with employers. But there definitely are, if not HR representatives, there's still people who can connect you with and introduce you to those job opportunities.
Great. Okay. Well, sort of spinning off of that, then, there's probably quite a few folks on the conference here today, or that are going to see this in the future, that are involved with Veteran Service Corps, other organizations like that are either already in the energy industry or work in different areas of climate policy. Should folks still reach out to you for any of these conferences? Are you still looking for sponsors and speakers and panels for any of the events that you have coming up this year?
Yeah, so in terms of speakers, we're looking pretty good in our cities, and depending on when folks see the video, then that time will have passed. But we're definitely always seeking sponsorships. So the tickets are $25 for military people, and then $50 is the early bird rate right now for energy professionals. And that mainly covers the cost of catering. But with sponsorships, I'm able to cover the venue, as well as, if there's a reception, then we can do an open bar. I can help with travel costs, either for speakers or for helping veterans who are coming from a further distance, say like outside a 200-mile radius. And then something we did at the Chicago pilot that was well received was provide a textbook, which is, just one way to help the vets continue their learning. And then in terms of, veterans that are in the energy now, I will say that the attendance at the pilot was really about 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 50 in attendance, and half of those folks were already in jobs in the energy industry. And so I think that is reflective of what I expect to find at the 18 events. The other half were either grad students, either just getting out or ready to get out of the military, or in a career and interested in making a change. So this isn't necessarily something that you either have to be in the energy industry or you can't be in the energy industry. It really is about bringing people together from all backgrounds.
Great, phenomenal. All right. Well, moving on. I don't want to give away too much of the secret sauce of what will be included with the seminars this year. So, moving on a little bit, just to general topics. What are some of your own personal thoughts and ideas? That you're excited about. Sort of, focusing the attention of the seminars around this year generally, and where you think folks that are attending will really, get the most value from.
Yeah. So at the pilot last year, we had 20 speakers in as you said, in 8 hours. It was a little
Right.
nuts. And we had panels of 2 or 3 every hour. And so you really didn't get to spend a lot of time on any one topic. You were always sort of bouncing around. And so what I'm excited about this year is that we've dedicated 1 hour to each topic, which is going to give that expert enough time to get in a little more detail of their specific talk, with the Q&A opportunity afterwards as well. So I think we're going to see a little more discussion that way and a little more detail than what we were able to do before. The other thing is that we've divided the day in 2. So at the pilot, we had kind of this like back and forth of the core curriculum and the breakout sessions, where now you're getting all of the core curriculum up front, and then the breakout sessions in the afternoon. So I'm very interested to see how that dynamic works,
Mm-hmm.
of looking at kind of the academic approach versus the practical approach, and how the tone of the day changes. Because something I saw at the pilot was that people, after 4 hours of lecture, people really check out mentally.
Right.
A little bit, it's a little bit of a workout, a brain workout. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the breakout sessions where we can get in the smaller groups and have more, interaction is going to help people stay focused and give them that networking that they were looking for.
Great. Well, I think we're going to start working towards wrapping up here. I know you've got a lot going on today, and we really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us to, talk to the Veterans Service Corps and Climate Reality and all those that are out there and interested in this topic, and especially working with veterans. So is there anything else that you sort of want to add to, your thoughts or your promotion of the event? And what's the best way for anyone who is interested in supporting or getting involved to reach out to you personally?
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch is just to visit the website. So we posted that in the chat here, but it is vetsenergyseminar.org. It's fairly comprehensive just in terms of the events, the program, and those sponsorship opportunities. I think the last maybe parting thought that I would say is that I'm not aware of anything else that's happening quite like this. There is a lot of activity in the energy industry about how to recruit and retain veterans, both in conventional and in renewable sources. There's also, a good amount of discussion in organizations that are looking at the intersection of climate and national security. But I'm not aware of any other platform that is educating military veterans on energy security in the way that we're doing here, to help them, connect that service orientation, that mission nature that we have. From my personal experience, I joined the military when I was 17 and was always part of something bigger than myself. And working at the Department of Energy and at Argonne has really given me more meaning to the career that I've chosen. And I think that's why I've stuck around for the 5 years that I've been here. And so I'm hoping that the seminar can help do the same for other people who may not have quite as much information, to help them either feel good about the career choices that they've made and stay in the job that they have longer, or maybe seek opportunities that for a change that'll help them succeed in the long run.
Fantastic. Well, Dan, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. As a veteran myself of 10 years in the Army, and then work in the energy and climate policy areas in the 15 years since. This is really the convergence of two areas that are a huge passion of mine. I really think that along with business leaders, veterans and military leaders are a huge hope for our future economy and energy, and for our future from a climate perspective. And so I can't say enough positive or pass on enough positive accolades regarding this series of seminars. And I look forward to seeing you in Boston when you're here in September. Is Boston correct?
It is, yeah. And I've got you on the roster here. We're gonna have a good discussion of veteran energy entrepreneurs like yourself.
Phenomenal. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Please reach out to Dan. You can see in the chat here, Steph Miller has posted the veteranenergyseminar.org website, and you can reach out to Steph, Dan, or myself if you're connected to us on Facebook, and get a little bit more information about this. And Dan, hope to have you on another call, after you get through your calendar this year, and we're promoting 2019.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.